All right, folks, let's get into our Michigan Man top 10. At number 10, a player who's returned to the list. It is quarterback Brandon Peters. James, there is a distinct difference in quality of play when Peters is on the field versus when he's off it.
Yeah, I mean, Tom, his play didn't necessarily justify him, his stats, I should say, justify him jumping back on this list after falling off it for a week. But I think the importance to the program, he's got to be on this list. That's why I really couldn't leave him off, even though he's only played in about half the game so far this year. Tom, the defense plays better when Brandon Peters is the quarterback. I don't know how that's possible.
It's a confidence thing.
I think it's just a confidence that
it's a belief thing.
We have a chance to win this game. I mean, Michigan was winning and dominating that game for almost 3 full quarters. Brandon Peters goes down. They lose 17-0 down the stretch, with the final score was the rest of the game. So Brandon Peters is vitally important to this program, Tom. And if Michigan has literally any chance at all in the world, he needs to play tomorrow. If him or somehow Wilton Spate does not start this game tomorrow, Tom, I will say it right now before we even get to our predictions. Michigan has less chance than you, I, and some people around this office suiting up in Michigan uniforms tomorrow and playing Ohio State. That's how bad of a game it's going to be.
Challenge accepted.
Okay, let's do it.
So just a quick thought here. We'll get more to Peters in a little bit here, folks, but I have one question for you, James. I saw this in the comment section. Do you have an update for us on Brandon Peters? You don't have to spoil the entire thing because we have that coming up later on in a deeper segment.
All right, so I haven't talked to anyone in a couple hours now. I've been prepping for show. But as of this morning, on Wednesday, he had been medically cleared to play, and he was only going to be granted the ability to play if the coaching staff thought he was going to give the team the best ability to win the game. So I don't know what the factors that's based on, whether it's not practicing or what it is.
There's a difference between being cleared to play and being cleared to play at your highest level.
Exactly, yeah. So I think medically cleared means that he's not, of course, going to
the bare minimum
re-injure himself, or it's not detrimental to his long-term health. He passed the concussion protocol. So as of 2 days ago, he has been cleared to play by the medical staff, but whether or not he's the best guy for the job, I think that's only Jim Harbaugh and the coaching staff can tell us that.
Let's keep it rolling here with our Michigan Man top 10 into number 9, DPJ, Donovan Peoples-Jones. Didn't have a TD catch this week, James, but he actually totally did, very clearly.
Tom, I'm glad you put this in here.
You're welcome.
So he kind of gets in the top 10. I think this is the first time this season, not like he's having a crazy season by any means with only 16 receptions and under 250 yards receiving, but finally Michigan put together a long ball, something that's been completely lacking from their offense since Spate went down and, of course, since Tariq Black went down, who had kind of owned that position.
Not a great throw there, by the way. Peters leads it more. Might be a TD, but still.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
if it
better
went over
than
the left shoulder instead of the right, it would have been a TD for sure. Another catch in the end zone, as we showed, that should have been a touchdown. And so, Tom, I think what this means for Michigan is that they have a chance, if the right quarterback can make the throws, they actually have a chance of getting a ball down the field more than 20 yards, which really has not existed since maybe week 3 in this season.
I think that Wisconsin game was more along the lines of what we thought we would see from DPJ this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's really now established himself as the #1 receiver, and I think you're going to see that next year. You get him and Tariq Black for 2 more seasons minimum next year. I think this Michigan receiving core, which for many people was, just has been a nightmare all year, starts to look a little better going forward in the future.
Let's keep it rolling then here in our Michigan Man top 10 to number 8 on our list. It is Chris Evans. He and the running game in general, James, kind of disappeared against Wisconsin.
Yeah, he had a little bit of a resurgence, against that lighter portion of the schedule, the Minnesotas and Rutgers and Marylands of the world. Tom didn't do much of anything last week. Really, the entire Michigan offense, outside of a few passing plays, didn't do much last week, specifically the running game. So he'll stay on here for being a vital part of getting those victories, in the middle to the late part of the Big Ten season. But he needs to come up big tomorrow for Michigan to have any chance to win this game.
All right there. So Evans just 25 yards on the ground against Wisconsin, but had that resurgence. We had imagined he'll get to 600 yards against Ohio State. I hope he does.
Let's hope he gets some yards.
If he doesn't, that means something really, really went wrong. All right, then we'll get to number 7 now on our Michigan Man top 10. Khaleke Hudson, who has been a wrecking ball, maybe that's the best way to describe it. Dynamo, something like that.
He's had a much better second half of the year than he has the first half. I think there were a few games in the first half where you were kind of questioning whether even he was the right guy for the job. And
started hot, really cooled off, and has since kind of got that confidence going again.
Yeah, the last 3 games he's been Michigan's probably best defender on the field, maybe outside of Mo Hurst. And Tom, I just love this linebacking core coming back next year. It's going to be a great crew with Hudson and Devin Bush leading the way. You're going to lose Mike McCray, but frankly, he's the 11th man out of 11 when it comes to talent in this Michigan defense right now.
Which is funny considering he was the quote-unquote only returning starter.
Exactly.
So Hudson, over almost 16 tackles for losses here. He has been incredible, 6.5 sacks. Part of a very, very good and deep Michigan defense. Speaking of that defense, Lavert Hill has been a true shutdown corner for Michigan. James, we've talked about this before. I had major concerns about the Michigan secondary because of all the talent that they lost. Lavert Hill might end up being the best of the guys that they lost last year.
Yeah, I mean, Tom, it's one of the better first-year starter kind of seasons from a cornerback I've seen in Michigan football going back 25 years. And he has really turned into an all-conference performer. I think he's going to go into next season, vying for All-American honors.
He might be a preseason All-American.
Yeah, absolutely. And so Michigan might return 3 or 4 of the top 15, 20 defenders in America with Hill, Bush, Hudson now, Maurice Hurst, Chase Winovich coming back next year.
The flip side is you might not get Hill for his senior year. He is one of those guys that could decide to turn pro early and then end up leaving early, because when the NFL comes a calling, hey, what can you do?
Yeah, very true. I mean, I think you're going to see a big exodus, an Ohio State-style exodus of underclassmen next year, Tom. You're going to probably lose 5 or 6 underclassmen, maybe 7 if a couple guys that we're uncertain on now have big junior seasons next year.
He did not play against Wisconsin as he was in concussion protocol, has been cleared from that. He should be able to go against Ohio State, I believe.
Yeah, so he's been practicing since Sunday, Tom, so I think you're going to get him back in the lineup. And really, if you think about what turned that game on the tide, it was that 3rd and 14, 15 play around midfield where Wisconsin got all the way down inside the 15-yard line when Michigan was up right after Brandon Peters' injury time. That really turned the tide of the game. That was on Jalen Kelly-Powell, a backup true freshman safety. It should have been on maybe Lavert Hill or Ambry Thomas or Brandon Watson, but they were spreading them out at that time, and you had to have a backup safety on that guy because Michigan was going to dime package.
All right, then let's get to number 5 on our Michigan Man Top 10. We go back to the offense. Hint, for the last time on this Michigan Man Top 10. Karan Higdon checks in there. Look, he has been the focal point of this ground game attack when healthy. He's been banged up of late, unfortunately.
Yeah, Tom. I mean, it's really been a disappointing thing to see him being in and out of the lineup here and there, because that stretch where guys like Khaleke, Hudson, really after the Penn State loss, you saw a lot of guys step up, Karan Higdon being one of them, and he's had a really nice season, Tom. For a while there, he had a chance to kind of be in the top 2 or 3 behind, obviously, Jonathan Taylor at Wisconsin as the 2nd or 3rd leading rusher in the Big Ten. That's not going to happen anymore because he's had to sit out games, but this is a surprising season, Tom. Another guy that's going to come back next year and really get Michigan on the right track offensively next year, where they've been really looking for an identity this entire season.
All right, then let's get to number 4 on our Michigan Man Top 10. At number 4, defensive lineman Rashan Gary has had a ton of attention. The stats really aren't there, at least in the way we would like to see them, but he's been productive and disruptive, and he's been the focal point of opposing teams' offense.
Yeah, Tom, he's been in this top 1 to 6 range every week. He hasn't dropped out of the top 10. One of the, I think there's only 2 or 3 guys that haven't dropped out of the top 10 the entire year. Him, Mo Hurst, and probably Devin Bush. But you expected a lot from him this year. I don't think he lived up to that hype, maybe like we had talked about, but he is a key component of this Michigan defense. And I think if any one player needs to come up huge outside of the quarterback position tomorrow, it's Rashan Gary. And then really the entire Michigan defensive line needs to just harass JT Barrett and of course stop the running game as well, because if JT Barrett gets time against anybody, let alone Michigan, like he has for a few years here and there, it's going to be bad news for this Michigan defense. So he's got to come up big tomorrow.
We'll stay on the defensive line for number 3. At number 3, perhaps the player that's benefited the most from playing with Mo Hurst and Rashan Gary, Chase Winovich, who just made play after play this year.
Yeah, Tom, I had to drop him down one notch. He was at number 2 the last few weeks. I only dropped him down just because the guy we put at number 2 had a big interception last week and really had a bigger game. But Winovich has been one of Michigan's best 3 players really the entire season. I think we slighted him early on. It was one of those things. He wasn't in our first poll.
He's fluke game.
It's just like the AP poll. You get bias going from your first poll throughout the rest of the year. They're a top 10 team. They got to be good. And Winovich was not in our top 10 to start the year, so he had a little trouble getting on the list to start. But once he's on there, Tom, he's been on there for the better half of the season. And gosh, I'm just another guy I'm glad to see back. I don't think he's a guy that even considers going pro. I think he really needs another year in this system. And when he does, he'll be rewarded very nicely when he gets to the NFL.
Let's head then to number 2. You mentioned the interception, James. Well, here it is, Devin Bush's INT. I thought this was the turning point of the game, but then Brandon Peters went down later. Wisconsin ended up getting rolling. But heck of a play there by Devin Bush, who continues to be one heck of a recruiting get.
Yeah, Tom, you said just right in the middle of the 3rd quarter after Michigan had gone, I believe they went 3 and out and punted, and They had a chance to really take this game over at this point. Brandon Peters going down just a possession later after that one was a death blow for Michigan.
Breaking moment.
Yeah, exactly. I was trying to think of a good word there. But Bush really had a chance to kind of, I don't want to say seal the game by any means, but that was the most pivotal moment for Michigan's defense, maybe of the season so far this time, and unfortunately the offense couldn't capitalize.
All right, let's get to number 1 then on our Michigan Man Top 10, the man who's been number 1 for months now?
Yeah,
it's been a long time.
Probably been 6 or 7 weeks at this point.
Maurice Hurst, number 1 player for Michigan.
Yeah, so I had an interesting stat I came across yesterday, Tom. Pro Football Focus, we've talked about them a few times, as they really grade players in college football better than anybody. They grade every single player every week. They do all conference and all American teams just based on week. Maurice Hurst has been Michigan's number 1 rated defender every single game this year. Can you believe that? Every single game, including the game that Khaleke Hudson had, his unbelievable game. Hurst was tied with him for that spot. So Maurice Hurst, without question, Michigan's best player this season on defense, without question their best player on the entire team, Tom. I think he has a good chance, a decent chance of being the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year.
Strong argument there, I think, for that. So that's your Michigan Man Top 10.